Hey gang, great to see you. I'm Cable McElderry. Welcome to another episode of Profitable Personal Trainer TV. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something that I think is super important. We're going to talk about the language of sales, or the language of selling. And I think that this has really evolved over the last few years. So I think it really warrants us to readdress how it is that we're speaking to people in a selling environment, because we have a massive responsibility. And I'm going to try to actually break down your paradigm right now, because I find many personal trainers actually don't like the dirty word sales. They get really kind of nervous and uncomfortable about the idea of sales, like we're trying to convince people or manipulate people to do something they don't want to do. And I think there was a time that that's when sales was truly about. You know, before the internet was accessible today, when people were looking to buy products or services, there was a good chance that the salesman knew more about the product or service than they did. But in this internet world that we live in, where information is all over the place, it's very unlikely these days that you would go talk to a salesman and have a salesman actually fill you in on the features and benefits of any service or product. By then, typically as consumers, we've already done our due diligence. You know, we go on the internet, we look for reviews, we look to see what people that have used the product have thought of it. We look to the opinions and reviews and experiences of our friends, or people, generally these days, people we don't even know. Customer reviews on a website. Completely different perspective than our own, can be different locations in the world, use the product entirely differently than we will, but we typically will put more stock in what that person says in a couple of sentences, or the number of stars that they've given something, than what the manufacturer tells us about their product. And I think that's how the selling game has really changed. So let's break down your paradigm. It's not your job to sell people anything. In fact, steal this from me. This is a line that I've used for well over a decade in my personal training career when I've talked to them about buying any of my products or services, is that it's not my job to sell you anything, but rather it's my job to make it really easy to try. So these days, this is what we're going to focus on. You have a responsibility. You have a responsibility absolutely to make sure that many people want to try your services, or they make it easy for them to try, simply because if they don't use your services, what are they going to do? It's amazing how many people you'll meet with, potential clients, that actually don't have a plan B. If they don't buy your product or service, chances are they may do nothing. And you have to believe, I think, as a professional these days, that your competitor, the person down the street, the next person they might go to, is not going to do for them what you will. So if you truly believe that you're going to give these people your all, you're going to speak from the heart, you're going to be totally sincere, you're going to give them every tool in your toolbox to help them, then you have a responsibility to make sure that it's easy for them to try. One of the things that I've done with my salespeople, and this may sound terrible and it may sound harsh, but I want them to think like, if they don't do everything they can to help Mrs. Jones see value to try our product or services, chances are Mrs. Jones is going to go have a heart attack and die, and it's my salesperson's fault. And it may seem harsh, but think about that for a moment. You know, we live in a society here in North America locked in an obesity crisis, where heart disease, cardiovascular disease are one of the #1 killers in North America. In spite of better technology, better programs, better services, you've already heard this spiel, that people are failing faster than ever. We have a responsibility to make sure that it's very easy for each person to try. So let's talk about sales language as I see it. A little while ago, I came up with this idea. I was always a huge fan of Bill Phillips. I don't know how many of you guys remember Bill Phillips in EAS and the Body for Life transformation. Heck, I've still got one of the Body of Work VCR tapes somewhere, and I need to get myself a working VCR because it's such a cool documentary to watch. I don't know if you haven't seen it, maybe you can find it somewhere, but such a cool documentary if you're somebody that's serious about being in our industry, and I think really embodies what it is that I'm kind of trying to share with you guys today. But anyway, EAS, a very famous supplement company, obviously with Bill Phillips, but also a very important acronym that came the basis of me for sales training, which stands for 3 important letters: emotion, affirmation, solution. And I believe this is kind of like your roadmap for sales these days, is that I think that people only make decisions when they're emotional, which is why the most important thing for us in a selling environment is to make sure that we begin by asking emotional questions. You know, Mrs. Jones, like, what would it mean to you? What would it mean to you if this was the program that actually worked? How would life be different if this program actually worked for you? You know, how would you reward yourself? What would you do for yourself the day that you reached your goal? If I could snap my fingers and change everything, what exactly would you change? What other things have let you down? You have to get Mrs. Jones tied in emotionally to the decision that she's about to make. And the honest truth is simply that none of us want to pay for anything. It doesn't matter whether your program is basically free or not, it's too expensive, because as a consumer, I really don't want to pay for anything. But I just need to know or feel as though that it's going to have a big impact in my life, which is why we have to always begin by asking emotional questions. Which, by the way, beyond the summary I'm going to give you today for EAS, I had the honor to do a TEDx talk, so I would really encourage you, and I'll even try to post the link below this video, but I really encourage you, just type my name into Google and take 18 minutes to watch my TED talk called I equals EAS. And it was actually a talk for everyday people about how to harness the power of inspiration using this same concept, because I believe that this is just truly how our emotions work. So using this format to structure your emotions allows us to stay inspired. But that 18 minutes is such a good framework for you to really get another perspective on what it is that I believe about sales and sales language. So as I was saying, Mrs. Jones, we've got to ask those emotional questions. We have to get them in an emotional state. Everybody's busy. They inconvenience themselves to come see you. It doesn't matter whether your program's almost free. It's basically too expensive. We have to get somebody emotional before they're going to be able to make a decision and commit something to it, and especially at the dollars that you need to charge for your service to make sure that everybody wins. So once we've asked the emotional questions, we have to move on to affirmation, meaning we have to ask yes-based questions. Does this make sense, Mrs. Jones? Can you see why it would take more than 2 weeks for you to achieve your goal and get in shape? And essentially, those yes give you permission to keep moving forward as you get closer to price presenting, and those no's means that we need to back up and we need to stir up more emotion. Because, excuse me, anytime you get a no, that's like a disconnect between you and the consumer or prospect that you're meeting with. So we have to reestablish that connection by getting back to those emotional questions. So the affirmations ultimately have to come before that lead us to solution. Only when you get those affirmations do you have permission to price, present, or pitch the prospect your programs or services. Mrs. Jones, does this make sense? Do you see how this can help you? Can I show you some options of how you can use my services? So important. And anytime you get a no, you got to start over. So EAS, to me, this is the critical way that we organize or structure our selling meetings and how we speak and present to our clients. The next big thing is that remember that we live in a world where people's attention span is shorter than ever. Heck, some of you that are watching this video have probably already tuned out because you've got bored because it's more than a couple minutes long. And that's just the way that we're going. Our attention span's getting shorter and shorter, and we need things to be as concise as possible. And that's where WIFM comes in. So I'm sure you've heard this. It's an age-old acronym that stands for what's in it for me. So when you're meeting with somebody in a sales environment, remember, they don't care about you. They don't care about your services. They don't care about all your certifications. They don't care about how good you are. What they really care about is, can you have an impact on your life, on their life? So very quickly, through your emotional questions and through your process, you have to establish what's in it for them. Why is this important for them? What are they going to get out of this? And you have to do that so fast. Otherwise, you're going to lose their attention. Absolutely critical, having a strong risk reversal. We have to make sure that, and like I said at the very beginning of this video, it's not my job to sell you anything, it's to make it very easy to try. The guarantee is commonplace these days. You have to have some sort of guarantee. So our standard guarantee is 30 days unconditional money back. In fact, we joke that if you don't like the color of our walls, we will refund your money. A close colleague of mine, Erica, thank you so much for a great tip not too long ago, is that money back guarantees not as flavorful or exciting as before. So put a cool spin on your guarantee. In fact, he told me that his guarantee was called the lawnmower guarantee, that if you didn't like his product, take it and run it over with the lawnmower and ship it back to him, and then he would refund your money. So something that sticks out and catches people in their mind. But bottom line is that we gotta have that strong risk reversal when we present the solution. So Mrs. Jones, here it is. You know, you've agreed to it. Here's the cost of my services. Here's what it includes. Here's why it's going to be great for you. But Mrs. Jones, here's the best part. Here's why I want to make it so easy for you to try today, is that I just want you to get started, right? Let's see if it's a good fit for you. Let's see if you trust and feel comfortable with me, because if you don't, it doesn't matter what I tell you. None of it's going to help you. So Mrs. Jones, I think we can establish that in 30 days. Do you agree? Yes. Another affirmative question. right? Getting that permission again. Do you agree? Yes, great. Well, you know what? You're fully covered because I have a 30-day unconditional money back guarantee. So let's just see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, I don't want your money. Please ask for your money back. Let's get you taken care of. So super sincere, super straightforward, make you super easy to deal with. Have to have that risk reversal. Other thing I want to talk to you today is the can't afford it objection, because I hear this more than anything. We all know most common objections: time, money, spouse, but money more than lately. I'm hearing from so many people, even my own salespeople, and more, I can't believe, like so many of my coaching clients, when I ask them, how are you overcoming the financial objection? I get things like, well, I'm breaking it down. So the cost of, just give up your Starbucks coffee, and it only costs like $4 a day. Breaking it down, showing them in incremental amounts how easy it is to give up or forget something or give up something in their life in order to be able to afford my services. Forget that. Mrs. Jones doesn't care. She doesn't want to give up those things that she likes. Those things actually provide her a positive feeling or a good release of dopamine. They make her feel good. There's no chance in hell that she's going to give those things up to afford your services. It just doesn't work that way. So how do we overcome the money objection then? If we can't tell them the features and benefits of our services, if we can't break it down for them, showing just how affordable it is, how do we overcome the money objection? Well, we go straight back to emotion. We forget about money altogether. Yeah, Mrs. Jones, it's so expensive. You're totally right. I get it. And it's tough. It's really tough. But let me ask you, what were those things that you said that you tried that let you down? How much money did you spend on Jenny Craig or this thing or that thing? And ultimately, what happened? Did they fail you? Did they let you down? Did you end up back where you were? Right? So how would it feel if this was the thing that actually worked for you? What would that be worth to you? What would that feeling of being able to go to the back of your closet and get that favorite pair of jeans that I know you have hiding there and be able to finally wear them again? What would that be worth to you? So you have to stir up those emotions, and this is how we overcome the money objection. It's not going to work every single time, but it's going to work a lot of the time. And at the very least, it's going to get you to a point where you can have that difficult conversation of, hey, you know what, I totally get it. This just doesn't work for some people. So let's talk about what would financially work for you. Because frankly, if you're so stressed about finances, you're not going to be able to commit to the program. You're not going to get the results you need anyway. So let's understand what fits for you. Maybe I have an option for you. Maybe I can refer you somewhere else. But the point is you're going to earn more trust and rapport. And even with those people that ultimately can't afford it, doing it this way, you ask them for a referral. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I totally get it. This didn't work for you. But you see how great this is, right? Affirmative question. Hey, who do you know that this might work for? Do you know anyone that, now that you know all about it and what it costs, do you know anyone that might be a good fit for our services? Because if you refer somebody, there's a chance that I can give you some discounts. It would make it more affordable for you. Does that interest you? So don't walk away from the pitch thinking that just because you can't close them, that there isn't a close to be had in the sale. All right, and finally, before we shut this down for today, try to keep this real quick. We're going to talk about why group closes may now be more effective than one-on-one. Well, it goes back to where I started this video. And I think that today that there's a real trust problem between you and the prospect. And I think it's more difficult to overcome that than ever. In this world of transparency with the internet, it's like we have less trust for one another than ever before. So in a group situation, what we're finding is using these strong emotional questions and using it as an opportunity to engage people in the room, to talk about their goals, to talk about their injuries, to talk about their obstacles and setbacks. You find that many people in the room actually start connecting. And the real powerful thing to get more people to say yes to you is to say yes to one another, to start developing relationships with one another, seeing how that by using your service, they can generate better relationships, they can generate new friends, they can find themselves in a positive community that's more likely to allow them to stick to it. Because let's be honest, what's the number one reason that most people fail is that they fail to take consistent action. They aren't having a good time as part of their community, and ultimately their resolve to achieve their goal fizzles. So in a group close, particularly small group closes, we now have the ability to engage people and start them developing relationships internally. So when it gets to the big yes question of will you use our services, they look at one another. They don't look to you to guide them or sit there with arms crossed saying, I'm not going to be sold today. They look towards one another. That groupthink can now work to our advantage in a way that it never did before, or obviously can't in a one-on-one situation. So how do we manufacture that? You want to make sure that you engage people as a group using the same Same process of emotion affirmation solution, scripting your presentation to first ask those emotional questions and actually get people participating, not just listening to you like you are in this video, because frankly, some of you are probably bored, right? You just maybe already tuned out, and you got to get people engaging, and more importantly, you got to get them engaging with one another. So use emotional activities to get them talking about goals, the things that they've struggled and worked hard to overcome, get them supporting one another, and then show them why that's such a big part of your service and why they need to commit. I talk about more of this and all of these things in my howtosellfitness.net course. I'll have a whole great lessons on the language of selling, because I think it's truly, the strategy is not important as the language these days, and understanding human behavior when it comes to selling language will make you far more effective. So I really urge you to check it out, howtosellfitness.net, or check me out at cablemckelderry.com. Under the product section, you'll find my sales course and some other offerings. I'd love to hear your comments, feedback on this video, questions. I just want to help more of you become profitable personal trainers. I'm Cable McElderry. I'll catch you another day.